Welcome to Blind Level Tech. This isn't just accessible tech talk. This is technology on a whole new level. We're showing you just how possible it is to live the life you want.
Welcome to Blind Level Tech, everybody. I am your host, Evan Starnes. Each time I actually look through the rundowns that Jonathan sends me, he actually does put like a cool little tagline in, but I always forget it. So, but it would be kind of fun to come up with like a cool little BLT-ified slogan. So we're not here to talk about taglines at all. We're actually here to talk about one of my favorite services that I've been using since I was probably personally, around 3 or 4 when I got my first ever cassette machine. We're here to talk about the Colorado Talking Book Library, as we have partnered with them for a while. We kind of, both of us, both us, Aftersight, and Talking Book Library, and we tend to work and refer listeners and patrons kind of back and forth. And, it's kind of a matter of if somebody calls us and asks for books, we'll refer them to Talking Book Library versus, somebody calls and asks for newspapers, they get referred to us. And it's been a really awesome collaboration. And I am really happy to be joined by Lorrie Spoering. Yeah, happy Friday. It's Friday as we're recording this today. So yeah, how's your morning been treating you?
It's been pretty good. We had it's a little bit of a quieter morning, so we're able to kind of roll out the end of the week more comfortably. It's some weeks are busier than others. We've been a little bit chiller this week, which is nice.
That's good. That's always good. Now, Lorrie, I'd like to first actually start out by talking about your background. And you're a master gardener and volunteer for things like the Anchor Center, which I actually went to as a little tiny kid. And can we talk about that first and actually how you initially got started with the Talking Book Library?
Sure, absolutely. So I do the Master Gardener program through the CSU Extension office here in Denver. And I was actually linked up with the horticultural therapist over at Anchor Center recently. She needed some help being able to get some stuff done around the gardens, be able to identify weeds and stuff, because she is visually impaired and didn't want to be pulling things if she wasn't totally accurate about what she was pulling. And so I've gotten to go over there. It's really near my house. And so I was super excited to get to go over and start helping her out. My mom used to volunteer at Anchor Center when it was over on the Clayton campus. Very, very, very long time ago. She used to help drop off kids over there and stuff. And so it was really kind of a full circle that I got to go to the beautiful campus over near me since they moved there and keep helping over there. Been gardening for years, and so I finally joined the Master Gardeners, and so it's really fun to get to go out in the community and then have the opportunity to kind of combine both my professional passion with my personal passion of getting to garden and hang out with people who want to talk about gardens.
Yeah, it makes it not feel like work at all.
Exactly.
It's fun. And you volunteered for the Talking Book Library, I believe, back in 2020.
A little further back. When I started grad school, I actually decided to go back to grad school for my library science degree in shortly, my late 30s. And so I was looking for places where I could be involved in some libraries while I was doing that, and came across Talking Book Library, and I remembered knowing what it was. And my grandfather, he developed, I think it was macular when he was elderly. And so he enjoyed the talking books where he lived in Oklahoma. And so I was really excited to, know all the stuff that was going on. So I got to volunteer working in the circulation department in the mailroom back when wasn't that far back, but back when the books came on single cartridges. And we had a huge warehouse back there full of stacks and stacks of cartridges. And so I was helping move those and get those checked out and stuff. And that was really a super fun experience. So when I'd finished grad school, and then this job posting came up. I was looking for a job. So I was working at a nursing school library. This job came up, and I basically almost threw myself at the computer to apply for it. So it was like the absolute perfect thing that kind of landed in my lap, and they remembered me. And so I was able to kind of use that as leverage to get the job.
Yeah, for sure. And you have a title as a librarian, but your official title, I think, is reader advisor.
Yeah, it's kind of, it ends up, they tack a lot of words onto it. We have patron service reader advisor librarian. It goes on forever, but we're generally known as the reader advisors. So when people give us a call, that's who they're asking for.
Nice. So typically that kind of involves, recommending books. What about the little, you guys do like an interview kind of thing with patrons just to kind of gauge their interests and help recommend books to them?
Yeah, in the library world, we call that a reference interview. I'm sure there's different names and different sort of streams of interest and stuff, but it's basically kind of, somebody might call and say, well, I like mysteries. Well, but there's a lot of different mysteries. So what are your authors? What do you like about that mystery? Because there are people who want a mystery without a lot of violence, who want, a detective, not a lay person doing it and stuff. And so you kind of check out different questions, find out what the actual part of what they're interested in, and kind of narrow that down. And then it feels like magic, but it's really just extremely good looking up of being able to kind of cross all those things together and usually find what the person is really going to enjoy.
Mm-hmm. You guys, I imagine you guys have to have like some sort of a database or something. This is coming from like literally zero knowledge of how a library works, but I imagine there's got to be some sort of thing where you can go and browse by category, and it'll take some of that heavy lifting of the research off of you guys, I would imagine.
We are able to, all of our stuff is organized by different subjects, and we're able to search by annotations, which is kind of like basically like the book description, and they'll put in some wording and stuff. Plus that, a lot of us have different websites that we use that help us kind of narrow things down, especially when someone doesn't know a title or an author and things like that. And so the toolbox is vast, and it's just a lot of knowing the way to input words.
Right.
And that always surprises people. I'm like, no, I use Google too. I just know how to put the words into Google to get the answer I want.
No, that makes a ton of sense. In fact, a lot of people don't know that with Google, there's a lot more that you can do than just searching for stuff. You can like narrow down your results and exclude things, and really, it's like just harnessing the power of that tool.
Exactly.
And about how many books would you say the Talking Book Library as a whole, or I guess the National Library Service has?
It's hundreds of thousands. We have several different streams where we get the book. The National Library Service has some agreements with some of the largest publishers, and so we're able to get some of the commercial books, commercial recordings that a lot of the publishers make. The NLS has their own recording studio, so they'll do a lot of recording. We have our studio here that Tyler will be able to tell you more about, but we do Colorado-based books by Colorado authors, things like that. And there are, I believe, 30 other states that have their own studio, and they do similar, like Minnesota does Minnesota books, New York does New York books. And so we have access to all of those. So we have, really, we're very close to a typical library, but almost more, because our stuff all of our audio is in a cloud. So we're able to have, infinite copies of any book. Whereas a typical library does, even with audiobooks, has to purchase those copies. We are able to, if every single person in our service in the entire United States wanted to read the same book at the same time, everybody could. Instead of having to make a wait list and stuff. So it's nice. We might not have exactly everything you might find walking into a typical public library in the Denver Central Library or something like
your
that.
Anything or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But we're going to have close to exactly the same thing, and best part, no wait list.
Yes, that's the cool part. And to be honest, like I was pleasantly surprised. Like 10 years ago when I was searching for. I was a kid, of course. I loved like the Goosebumps books, and I found all the graphic audiobooks. And yeah, that was really when you guys started to partner with like commercial producers, like Listening Library or Houghton Mifflin Company, stuff like that. And I will say too, you guys have like all the original Jim Dale Harry Potters on Bard now. So I think that's incredible that I think both, you have all these amazing volunteer readers and regulars out there, thinking people like Eric Sandvold or what have you. But then, the fact that you can partner with these commercial providers is definitely huge, especially for those who do love like graphic audio and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And most of our audience on Blind Level Tech is blind or has low vision and definitely, I'm sure, has heard of the Talking Book Library. But for those who haven't, what equipment do you guys offer to patrons?
The main thing that people use is going to be the digital book player. And you said you got cassettes when you were a kid. It's the one since then. Back in the day, we did have actual cassettes that you had to flip, and they told you to flip.
End of side one. To continue, turn the cassette over. Yeah, those were the days.
Some of our digital recordings still have that in there, and we've had people tell us, and we're like, oh, well, we can tell NLS that they can take that. Like, no, it's like a memory that, oh, that's right, I used to flip this. But now everything is digital. It's basically a USB stick inside of a casing that makes it easier, especially for people with any sort of grip issues to hold on to. And we have two different types of audio players. The standard, which is, has fewer buttons. The advanced, that helps people kind of drill down a little bit more. And we are currently about to start our distribution on that new machine. Finally, I know I heard you there. Everybody's been waiting on this for years and years and years. Now we're just starting to do the rollout here in Colorado. So it's going to be a little while, but we will start getting those out to people. And that's got the same capabilities as the advanced version, but also has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So you can download from Bard, which is our mobile app, which is on smartphones and tablets. And it's similar to something if you've ever used Libby from a public library or something, or even Audible from Amazon, that you can download books directly to a smart device and listen to them that way. We also have one of our very, very popular ones that we rolled out a couple years ago is our Braille e-reader, which has been really cool. It's a stripped-down version of a HumanWare version, but once you hook it up to some things, you can basically make it into a multifunctional device. But it's been just incredible for people that we're able to do that with how large a Braille book is, like just a volume, in comparison to the fact that you can have thousands of Braille books on this device.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's a little 20 cell.
Yep.
And I've got one of those. It's a nice display because you can throw it in. I at least I could fit it in my pocket.
Yep.
And you can make it like a Braille note taker. But the cool thing with Bard too is kind of as you mentioned, you guys do audio primarily, but yes, you have kind of a collection of Braille and large print books. In fact, that's where I used to get my Braille books as a kid.
Yeah, we don't have our entire collection of Braille here in Denver. We actually, there would be no way for us to do that. We do share a building with another library, and so they use a lot of the storage space, but we do have quite a bit of Braille, but we also are able to get books from the Western Distribution Center here out in Utah, and they'll send books the same way. We have our own collection of large print, which again is over hundreds of thousands of books, and we never throw away a large print book unless it's dissolving in your hands. So we have things that are 30, 40 years old, and we will keep patching them together because it's so hard to get a hold of large print books that we just want to keep them forever. So it's really exciting that we have so many different things for different levels of vision. And you can do more than one. We're not a strict, well, you said you read Braille, so you only get
one
Braille.
service only. Yeah, right. Well, and just to put into perspective for those who haven't seen a Braille book before, usually, especially if we're talking to your typical volumes, they're big. They're like a leather bound, usually comes in multiple volumes. I'd venture to say your typical novel comes in 2 or 3 of those big leather bound, and they have like a little ribbon kind of bookmark thing that you can put to hold your place, which is pretty nice. But yeah, it's I think, digitizing those it's nice. It just depends on the experience you want, though. Mm. And the cool thing too, kind of circling back to that digital aspect, is that you can just hold on to those books indefinitely. I think, gosh, man, on my Bard mobile app on my phone, I think I've got over 60.
Yep, exactly. Yeah,
downloaded.
There's no due dates on any of that. It's on, and even with like the Braille books downloaded onto the e-reader, they're on there until you delete them. So you can have a whole gigantic library that you never have to give up if you don't want to. So
yeah, for sure.
It makes it really nice, because we do with, actual physical media, we do have to get it back in order to keep getting it to other people. So that can be, especially if you're a slower reader or you enjoy lingering over your reading, it can be a little bit more pressure than you want in making reading into a chore. And instead, you've got a little bit more leeway on that too.
For sure. And I'd like to talk about the cartridges for a sec, mostly because I remember when they first came out, and the amount of time and effort that was spent digitizing everything. And when the cartridges were first being distributed, it was kind of necessary if you wanted to listen to audiobooks. This is before Bard Mobile. You needed to have 2 separate players, and it was kind of a gamble of whether you'd get a book on a cassette tape or a book on a digital cartridge. And then, eventually everything was on cartridge and then was released on Bard, but you could only put, one book on each cartridge, or that was the typical practice. And then I was looking at one of my newer cartridges that I got a couple of years ago, and realized that you guys upgraded the storage capacity on those bad boys to about 8. And just for perspective, I mean, I've got a cartridge with over 20 digital books on it that is not even, it may be a little over half full. But nowadays, if somebody gets, multiple books, do you guys just put them on like one cartridge now, or do you still distribute them kind of the old school way?
We do something now that's called download on demand. It started, I believe, in 2020, and we were one of the first network libraries that was able to do it, where Bard is essentially a cloud, and now we have access directly to that cloud where we can pull books down. And so we have something called a Gutenberg machine that looks kind of like a toaster with a bunch of the cartridges in it. And so you're able to, whenever Patren either selects specific books or they have a bunch of subjects they enjoy, is when their order comes up, it just downloads those books directly onto that cartridge. And we usually start people with about 10 books, so it's not too overwhelming. We can do as few as 1, and as you notice, like we can get up to, on one of our cartridges, roughly 23 typical length books. We can't get like giant series. Like we have tried to get all of Outlander onto one cartridge. It doesn't work. You can buy larger capacity cartridges, but the standard ones are a little bit smaller. So it was I wasn't here at the very beginning of when they transferred to download on demand. I started about a year after. But it was a little bit of a bumpy road, because there were people very used to one at a time, one book per cartridge. They had, anywhere between, they would get 10 to 25 different books on these cartridges, and they were very used to that, and they didn't like having to maneuver, despite the onboard button that helps you maneuver on the bookshelf. It was rough for some people, but it's become pretty easy because people now don't have to have a stack of cartridges and a stack of cases and match them, which was one of the big things, is you had to match them back together. It doesn't matter if you don't match them anymore, because as soon as we get one in, when it gets checked in, it erases it. So we're just able to reuse over and over and over each cartridge without having to do a whole bunch of song and dance to make it work.
That's awesome. I forgot about the Gutenberg machines. We kind of have the equivalent here at Aftersight, but it's for SD cards, and it does kind of look like a tiny toaster. What I noticed when you used to get single books and cartridges, it would have like the book title on the label. What do you guys do now for just? This is a geeky question, but what do you guys do with the Braille labels on those now?
Unfortunately, because they are reused over and over, the Braille label on there says CTBL on it. We're still trying. That's been a long-standing thing that we're not sure what to do. We do have large print list of the book on the mailing card, so people who do have some vision might be able to see that or have someone who helps them. But the Braille part that has been a contention that we're still not totally sure what to do about.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was mostly curious because it's been a little while since I've actually ordered a physical cartridge. I still like to, even though I have Bard and stuff, just because the player sounds really good. The speaker built into it is fantastic. I hope the new one sounds just as good. And having physical buttons is super nice, not having to reach over Face ID on your unlock your phone, swipe to the fast forward button, whatever. It's nice to just reach over and, hit a couple physical buttons. But kind of transitioning away from all that, because I feel like we've focused on like books and cartridges for some time now. Let's say, you're not yet a patron, but would like to sign up for services. How would one go about doing that?
We try to make it as simple as possible because we want people to be reading. So we have an application that is standardized by the National Library Service. But it's available on our website. People can call and get it from us. A lot of organizations that work with the blind community know of us and have the applications as well. But the main thing is having someone who, we call it certifying a disability, but it's not really as much of a certification as a sign off by somebody familiar with the disability and saying that they need the service, which can be a doctor, but also a therapist, a non-related caregiver, teachers, librarians, activity directors, teachers, the visually impaired. It's a very long list of people who can do it because we don't want to cut off people at the knees and say, nope, only doctors can confirm that you have macular degeneration. Well, that's not true. If somebody can't read typical print, people can know. And so, and we would rather trust than try and gatekeep the idea that somebody might be trying to game us a little bit. But once you get an application to us, you get to be a member for as long as you want to be a member. We're never going to stop you. We do have patrons who have more temporary disabilities, either stroke or they have laser surgery and their vision improves. They can stay members. We're not going to stop. And if you move, you can just take your membership with you to the next state. We're in what really connected network that allows people to keep all of their equipment and everything to keep going without having to lose any of that.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. In fact, that's actually kind of new information for me. I was kind of, I had the understanding that you had to try to stay active, because there have been times where I've just had periods of inactivity where I just fall out of, I don't read a lot. And then I have phases where I'm reading one book a month or something like that. So it's kind of it's nice to hear that.
We will send out a note if you haven't checked anything out in a year, kind of a little poke.
Okay.
And in 2 years, we will suspend an account. But if somebody calls and says, "Oh God, I forgot that I haven't read in a while," we can restart it. We keep our records for 5 years. So anytime anybody wants to restart, we have some people who started as kids and they go to college and they have some other things. They give us a call and they're like, "Oh, can I get a machine now?" Sure. No problem. It's really not hard for us to get people restarted. So we don't want to make it more difficult.
Are you guys a CTBL, a 501c3, a nonprofit, or?
We're part of the National Library Service for the Blind and Print Disabled, which is a part of the Library of Congress. So we're mostly a federal institution, and then we're under the Colorado State Library. So we're not a nonprofit. We do have a nonprofit arm the Friends of the Colorado Talking Book Library is. I think it's a 501c. And so they are able to do fundraising on our behalf, which is really wonderful because we get money, but as we know, libraries are chronically underfunded. So we've been very lucky to have such an active group of people kind of championing us and making sure that we keep funding and keep doing what we're doing.
That's awesome. I was going to say, because, are there ways that, people just out in the community can continue to help support the National Library Service as a whole? Because
absolutely, just talk about it. Tell anybody who might be interested or have family members who are interested. I've found that actually people who don't need our services tend to be really great about telling other people. Like they'll find, well, I heard, about this. Have you talked to, your mom about joining this or anything like that? And so it's just keep telling people. Word of mouth has been phenomenal. I do outreach. I go to events and organizations and stuff, but I do hear more that somebody said, well, my sister went to this and she told me. And so I took my son in. It's like, that's the best thing I can imagine coming from it is that people just keep talking about it. The joke in my family is if you stay still long enough, I'll start talking about the Talking Book Library. So that's what I just advise people to do is just start talking about it.
I know I've referred some friends that have actually moved from out of state to Colorado to you guys before, mostly for the e-readers, because a lot of my friends love like the e-readers for kind of just a on-the-go note taker. But kind of speaking of, I guess, not quite word of mouth, but mouth-related stuff, since I don't have that good of a segue, I think we better jump into the good old Sandwich of the Week.
Oh, and that was a great song.
Yeah, Jonathan made that. It felt very spontaneous, but he sent that to me within like 20 minutes. He was like, we got to do the sandwich. We got to do this thing. Or we should. It's like since it's BLT, we should do a weekly sandwich. I made this jingle for it and I haven't done stuff like this in a while. And I listened, I'm like, oh yeah, that's sticking forever. That's just a staple of Blind Level Tech right there. My sandwich this week is going to be a French dip from Snarf's. A Snarf's French dip because, first of all, I, as everybody who listens to the show knows, am a diehard Snarf's fan and love any of their sandwiches. You can never go wrong with Snarf's. That is an opinion. But I haven't had a French dip in a while, and they're probably among my favorite sandwiches. I think it's good with au jus, and I actually know we had a guest on a couple weeks back that also did a French dip. So yeah, they're really good. But you had a pretty unique sandwich, Lorrie. What is your sandwich of the week?
Well, I do love a sandwich. I'm a big fan of bread, so pretty much if you slap something on bread, I'll eat it. But my wife makes an amazing tofu banh mi. That's a spin on the traditional Vietnamese sandwich, French bread and pickled vegetables and stuff, but really delicious, sort of smoky cooked tofu, and just really, really hits the spot because it's both fresh and kind of savory. So now I really want one. I'm sad that I don't have that in my lunch right now.
I mean, I guess you could try it. You guys could make one tonight. I think it sounds really healthy too, which is
yeah. I guess I could do a full on grilled cheese or something. But yeah, it's a nice one since it is full of vegetables. It makes me feel a little bit less like a glutton when I eat a huge one.
Yeah, for sure. As we are recording this episode, we're still kind of in the midst of summer. Are you guys? I was like beyond excited to see that you guys started the summer reading program again. Mm-hmm. Is it still open, or have you guys filled up?
Oh, we are still going. I can't off the top of my head remember the conclusion date. I believe it's mid-August. One of the other reader advisors, Judy, helmed this. She's been working really hard at it and done really fantastic things. NLS has been leading the program, but she's done a really great job coming up with cool stuff for our patrons, and it is all ages. We have activities. We have, a list of things to do to be part of it that aren't all exactly books. So anybody who wants to join up, we get you all started with that stuff, and we do have some completion prizes. So when you're done, you give us a call and we'll send you one of the prizes. So all you have to do is call us if you want to sign up, or hop on the website and join us for some more summer reading, because we're having a lot of fun with it.
It is a lot of fun. It personally helped me get back into reading Braille. I remember I kind of got into the habit of just, I think I got really engrossed in this Braille book, and I spent like 4 hours. I was up until like 2 a.m. with my Braille Sense under the blanket on the couch. And yeah, I think it's, the last time I did it was right in the midst of all the, actually, no, it was before any of the COVID stuff. I think it was like 2018, and we got to read an awesome book called The War That Saved My Life. And the fun part was it was narrated by a lady named Jane Antwistle, and we actually got to talk to her and ask her questions about reading audiobooks on a Zoom call.
Oh, cool.
As one of the little fun activities. So I would encourage anybody, especially if you want to get back into reading, or you like a little competition or whatever. It's a wonderful program. So I am thrilled personally that you guys have started that again. So kudos to Judy for sure. Where can people find you guys? We will link in the show notes to your website, but yeah, how can people get involved with CTBL?
The best way first is the website. We also do, we have a physical location. It's not really all that exciting. People can stop by if they want to, sign up or want to request something, turn things in. We're happy to see people. We're in Denver, so we're not accessible for everybody. I know that, but we're at 180 Sheridan. We just got a new parking lot and a new fence. You can't miss us. We also are on the phones Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. There's a team of 4 librarians happy to help you find books or do troubleshooting on any equipment. We'll look things up for you too. We're happy to just do things to make sure that people are getting information and enjoying themselves. So any way you want to get a hold of us, you can email us. I'm the one who does most of the email. So shoot an email towards us on the general email, and I will help you with whatever you're looking for.
I think I've got your number memorized, 303-727-9277.
That sounds right. I don't have it memorized, so thank you. I have it programmed in my phone, and I haven't looked at it since.
I do too, but I think I've been calling you guys for so long since I was like a little kid that I've just memorized that number. It's always stayed the same. And then I think the website was myctbl.state.co.us, I believe.
It is, but you can also use myctbl.org, and it will reroute to that it's a long email, long address on there because we're part of the state. So you can get a hold of us there. There's the applications are there, our email address, our phone numbers, anything like that. But definitely, we love talking on the phone. We're never bothered. We get a lot of people who are like, well, I don't want to bother you having a... Nope. That's why I'm here. And I don't have a job if you don't call me. So call me.
Right. Absolutely. Well, Lorrie, I'd really like to thank you a massive metric ton for coming on Blind Level Tech and giving us all of this wonderful information and kind of bringing me down some memory lanes here a little bit.
It's excellent. Yeah, it's really fun getting to meet so many patrons who've been with us for so long. Sometimes they'll ask me to look in the system, and or they have this number that's so low of their patron number that it's like, how did you get in number 16? You've been with us for that long. Right. That's fantastic. So, and just knowing how many people have just really been a part of this and really are so happy and so excited to be a part of it and all of the things that keep happening. It's been really a great experience. I've been with CTBL for 4 years. It's in about 2 weeks. It'll be my 4th anniversary, and I couldn't ask for a better job, quite honestly.
That's wonderful. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this episode, and if you by chance have not heard about NLS Bard, well, definitely check them out. It is a fantastic service I continue to use pretty much every day, and I'm incredibly appreciative of the work that goes into putting content on cartridges, reading books, and even acquiring commercial licenses for commercial audiobooks. It is just fantastic to have access to those materials, and I hope that CTBL continues to thrive and that the NLS continues to gather more materials. And I'm really, honestly, incredibly excited for the new Wi-Fi enabled NLS talking book players. And yes, we will be doing BLT Bytes reviews of the unboxing and setup process of those talking book players. With that being said, if you've got any feedback, questions, or comments for us podcast hosts here at Aftersight, please send it our way at feedback@aftersight.org or leave a voicemail at 720-712-8856. And I'd like to thank everybody for listening to another episode of Blind Level Tech, and thank you everybody here, the entire team that I work with here at Aftersight, especially Jonathan for finding all these folks and producing episodes on the side on occasion, and just really helping to support not only Blind Level Tech, but all of our other original podcasts. Thank you guys so much for listening. I've been your host, Evan Starnes, and I will definitely talk to you guys again next Wednesday.